I've been in the hospitality industry for the last 11 years. And as you can all imagine how stressful it can be working in the industry. Yeah, as you can see in the picture, totally stressed out, sitting in the guy's lap, waiting to hit the ground, and trying to smile for the camera. So part of my stressful life is going places, staying at amazing properties, attending amazing conferences like this one, and meeting amazing people. So my wife one day said to me, Himank, I don't like you stressed out so much. Why don't you try some meditation? And I said, honey, that's not a bad idea. So I went online and I started searching for some meditational stuff. And luckily, Facebook understood my pain and started showing me advertisements of some meditation apps. And in one such meditation app's advertisement, there was a video of thunderstorm and sea waves, as you can see in the picture. Now imagine a meditation app which is supposed to bring calmness to my life, starting with thunderstorm and sea waves. So I was just curious what other people thought about it, and I started browsing through the comments under the ad, where somebody had written, this ad makes me feel anxious, it feels like I'm drowning. Somebody else had written, they should be making horror movies and not meditation apps. So instead of solving a problem for me and enhancing my experience, they actually made it more complicated. And I don't call this innovation. It is actually disinnovation. And innovation, or rather disinnovation, is what I really want to talk about today, along with two more hospitality buzzwords, personalization and experience. And all these buzzwords really are a byproduct of a truly transformational phase that hospitality has been going through over the last few years. From the rise of sharing economy, efforts of linking cryptocurrencies to hotel payments, new business models, blockchain, big data, and even the announcement of a hotel in space. So coming back to innovation, according to rough estimates, our planet is expected to experience as much innovation in the first few decades of the 21st century as it has experienced in the entire history of human existence. And it is true that humanity thrives on innovation. But true innovation is something that makes our life easier than complicated, isn't it? After all, what's the point of innovating if we're not contributing to the user experience? And whenever I think of disinnovation in hotels, I get reminded of this hotel in Germany. The entrance to the bedroom of this hotel is through the toilet, as you can see in the picture. And I consider myself lucky to have stayed at this hotel, because if I hadn't stayed, I wouldn't have known the true meaning of thinking outside the box. So as soon as I got into the room, I bumped into my own reflection in the vanity mirror, and the WC, the shower cubicle, the bathtub. The room layout reminded me of my college days when I wanted to design something which the world has never seen before, caring very little about how it actually worked. Some more examples of disinnovation are furniture that is not ergonomic, weird layouts, complicated technologies, experimental designs, and overlooked basics. Another kind of disinnovation which affects investors more than the guests is an inefficiently designed hotel, especially the one which follows the function follows form approach. It appalls me to see super generous, overspecified, wasteful spaces in hotels, and my heart goes out for the investors. The rule of hotel developments is simple. The more you build, the more someone's going to pay. One of the most inefficient hotels that I've ever been to is this hotel in Cairo. There's no difference between walking through the hotel's lobby and walking through London Heathrow Terminal, for example. Every square foot of extra space costs money, air conditioning, maintenance, future renovation costs, and remains a lifelong liability, making the return on investment less lucrative and break even longer. The focus should not be to cut cost. It should be to cut waste. Take an example of a 250-key luxury hotel with an average investment of $500,000 a key. Now, I'm making a simple assumption of adding a 5% area during the program and another 5% during the design phase, which make up a 10% additional area which we don't require. Now, this translates into about $40,000 to $50,000 a key, and we could build another 20 to 25 keys in that amount of money. Now, imagine there's an investor putting up 10 different hotels over a course of a few years. This translates into a massive amount of money, good enough to create another 250-key luxury hotel. Technologies which complicate guest experience are probably one of the worst forms of disinnovation. They do not just cost money, but they also alienate guests. Earlier this year, my family and I were staying at a gorgeous luxury resort in South Asia. As soon as we got into our suite, my daughter grabbed the room automation iPad and switched on her favorite animated movie, Kung Fu Panda. And as soon as the movie started, a message popped up on the iPad. Popcorn on its way, enjoy the movie. And that's it, that's all she needed. Popcorns, movie, and a holiday. But she did exactly what you'd expect from today's tech-savvy kids. She switched to another movie after an hour, with yet another message popping up on the iPad. Popcorn on its way, enjoy the movie. And she was like, not again, I'm full. Why can't they send chocolates instead? But she possibly screamed too loudly, annoying Mr. iPad, which started malfunctioning with the same popcorn message stuck on its screen until our checkout the next day. And I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is a true story. But our experience was far from over as she moved over to the bedroom iPad and the whole popcorn cycle repeated itself. The entire family had a popcorn dinner that night. So someone wanted to enhance our experience but ended up ruining it instead. Now think about it. All these disinnovations are easy fixes, aren't these? And the great news is that a user-friendly design costs the same amount of money and effort as the design which is not. Good design is good business. I heard this a long time ago. And a good design really is a combination of how it looks, what it does, what value does it add to its surroundings, is it user-friendly, ergonomic, so on and so forth. We've all heard of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. It is this fear of missing out on innovation, whilst the whole world is going abuzz with this magical word, it sometimes compels us to complicate simple things in life. The key to avoiding innovation turning into disinnovation is by following a well-known concept called design thinking. Now, Wikipedia defines design thinking as a method for practical and creative resolution of problems by employing strategies such as defining the problem, researching, forming ideas, prototyping, and testing. To me personally, there are two more important rules which work the best for hospitality: empathy and attention to detail. Empathy is thinking about the user while designing, with the goal of understanding their wants and needs, what might make their lives more easier and better. And the second principle is attention to detail, dictionary meaning of which is the focus that is directed on multiple smaller tasks or concern, which together make up a larger task or concern. And paying attention to detail, contrary to popular belief, is not about spending hours on drawings and presentations. It is simply about training our eyes to see things which as hoteliers we must. And if we won't, our guests surely will. And trust me, when they do, they're not going to tell us. They'll go and tell the whole world through social media, TripAdvisor or Facebook. Moving on to our second buzzword, experience. Now, there has been a lot of talk over the last few years on focusing on creating experiences in hotels. According to a recent study by ITB World Travel Report, more than 2/3 of luxury hospitality will be experience-based by the year 2022. But this experience really is more than just some pretentious design elements or some quirky quotes written on the walls. It is extremely important to create experiences which are genuinely indulging. So talking about experiences, one of the best innovations that has taken place over the last few years is the emergence of hotels as social hub, which taps into the way people behave. People attract people, and dividing people is never a good idea. People love energy, especially millennials. I'm a millennial myself, and I'd rather be at a packed bar than at a fine dining restaurant. The chairman of a luxury hotel chain regularly instructed his managers to make people sit at the front of the restaurant than the rear in order to make the restaurant look buzzing from outside. I was at the Edition London recently, and I bumped into the bar counter even before the discreetly located reception. Well, you'd say, who likes people queuing up in the lobby anyways? And what was surprising was that there's hardly anything conventional about the Edition's lobby, which has a bar counter, lounge seating, high communal table with IMAX, and even a pool table. Music picks up pace after 6, and the lobby feels like a pub by 10. I remember the general manager of a hotel in Bangkok complaining that people hold meetings in my lobby for hours without even ordering a glass of water. Well, trust me, no GM can have that complaint about the Edition lobby. Work, live, play is their mantra. There are hotels which are taking this concept a bit further with a work, live, play, and dine concept, where the lobby lounge, bar, co-working areas, and restaurant are all designed as an extension of each other. There's a new brand in China recently launched which is thriving on this concept of communal areas and social hub. However, this concept has primarily been limited to the mid-scale and economy hotels. And if you think carefully, you'll realize that it is the mid-scale and economy hotels which have been the center of innovation over the last few years. Luxury hotels have fundamentally remained the same over the last few decades, with the exception of probably bigger rooms and toilets, which is worrying. Luxury hotels should also wake up to this new reality as people are now moving away from pretentious lifestyles and are willing to indulge and explore in new experiences. Yesterday's 50-year-old average age of a luxury hotel customer is today probably 40. The definition of luxury today is not the same what it used to be 20 years ago. People are looking for purpose than simply luxury. Moving on to our third buzzword, personalization. Although I'm a huge fan of predictive personalization, where through machine learning and technology, guest behaviors and preferences are recorded in order to personalize and customize their booking experience and stay. However, my concern is that in future, every hotel will have its own sophisticated predictive personalization setup, fueling the growth of commoditization of an already commoditized industry. Now, commoditization occurs when guests perceive all hotel chains or brands as similar, and their only motivation to book a particular hotel is cost. Take flash drives, for example. Now, does it really matter to us which brand's flash drives are we using? No, what matters to us is the cost. According to a recent study by IBM Institute for Business Value, 68% of those surveyed admitted seeing little or no noticeable difference between hotel chains. Even airlines, where commoditization has been a long-standing issue, 57% of those surveyed admitted seeing significant differences between different airlines. Now, that's not good news for hotels for sure. Predictive personalization in hotels is like ordering food at home through an app, which knows our food allergies, likes and dislikes, favorite cuisines, etc. It is something for our convenience and not necessarily for our experience. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against technology or this predictive personalization, for sure, meaning it is time that technology helps us to reduce friction in our daily lives and inside hotels. But my concern is that technology alone cannot be a value proposition in the future, which is totally technology dominated. So what should we do, we should also try and focus on something that I call emotional personalization, which can help hotels creating a value proposition and stand out of the competition in an increasingly commoditized industry. And this emotional personalization is more than just about keeping a wine bottle or note or an object in the room based on a quick Facebook search. One of my favorite travel moments was when I, along with my family, was staying at a luxury resort in Bali. While checking out, my daughter was gifted a stuffed toy by one of the staff members. And this wasn't just any random stuffed toy, but the same toy that she had previously liked while playing in the kids' play area. And a staff member noticed this and decided to gift it to her while checking out. My daughter still insists that she goes back to the same hotel during our next holiday. This is emotional personalization. This wasn't just any random customary ritual, but something which was genuine. I remember another incident when my family and I were staying at a luxury safari lodge in central India. On one of the nights, while having dinners under a tree, they showcased us a wildlife documentary. The documentary was about this tiger which raised its cubs after their mother died at a very young age. Now, this was truly a rare occurrence because it's not generally the tigers that raise the cubs, it's the tigress that performs this duty. We immensely liked the documentary and thanked the general manager after our dinner. However, when we returned to our room after an hour, we were pleasantly surprised to find a copy of the same documentary with a handwritten note and a glass ashtray with tiger pug marks lying on the bed. And this gesture really made the entire trip memorable for us. There's a luxury hotel chain based in South Asia where once every staff member was entitled for a small sum which they could spend to please any guest without any line manager approval whatsoever. The net promoter score of the brand went up after they launched this initiative. A guest described his experience of the hotel chain by saying, "You ask for a pencil and they return with a stationery box." Richard Branson once said, "Take care of your staff and they'll take care of your customers." If there's any industry where this is most apt for, it is the hospitality industry. And it is not just about luxury or a five-star hotel. According to a recent study conducted by a global hotel brand, a 10% increase in TripAdvisor ranking resulted in a 4.7 to 5.7% increase in the hotel's booking. And true personalization can only be delivered by an empowered staff, like the one who gifted a stuffed toy to my daughter. We're passing through a truly transformational phase, ladies and gentlemen, and it is extremely important to foster innovations that make a difference, create experiences which truly matter, and encourage personalization that touches souls. Thank you very much.